We can start now, sir. Yeah. So let's have the chapter of strategies in enhancement of food production. Guys, this is the second year topic. It's been continuation of earlier. If you remember, before vacation, we discussed about microbes in human welfare. In that, we discussed about bacteria and virus. They are very simple chapters, but they have good weightage for the NEET. Make sure that you complete. I hope you have completed thorough preparation. Now, in that, let us study about. Let's continue with the next chapter. It's nothing but strategies in enhancement of food production. So, if you look at here, the chapter name strategies in enhancement. What is the meaning of strategies? Generally, we say anything can be done in a sequence, methods. In a particular method, you have to do particular process. So, here enhancement meaning what? Increase in food production. To increase the food production, what are the different methods applied by different scientists across the world to increase the rate of food production? This is what we call strategies in enhancement of food production. So, why do we need to talk about this? If you look at the scenario from 1960 to 2000, guys, don't ever expect everything is written on the board. We are going in a proper sequence. We are going one point after the other. So, carefully you follow point after point here. Now, if you look at in the mid of 1960s, if you look at the scenario, there is an increase in population across the world, but there is a decrease in food production rate. That means world population is keep on increasing, but the total food which is needed to feed the entire world population is getting declined. What exactly meaning of that? The food produced is not sufficient to feed the world population. Okay, the total food what is produced, what is the meaning of this here? Total annual food production rate produced across the world which is not sufficient to feed the world population, because world population is increasing and the total food produced for them, it is getting decreased. So, what are the different methods are needed to increase the food means, that is what we are going to study, different methods to increase the food production, right. Now, let us discuss about the main contribution is by the most important scientist, who is the M.S. Swaminathan. So, if you look at M.S. Swaminathan, guys, all of you are very much familiar with M.S. Swaminathan. You might have heard about his great contribution of the name M.S. Swaminathan. But before that, try to remember another scientist name, Norman E. Borlaug. So, whenever you get the question that who is referred as the father of green revolution, guys, then you have to choose the option as Norman E. Borlaug. Why? Because he has done great effort in developing different strategies or different methods to increase the annual food production rate across the world. Till today, different methods what we follow, it's mainly because of the great effort of the scientist Norman E. Borlaug. Then, if at all if you get the question that who is the father of Indian Green Revolution, then we have to choose the option of our great effort of the scientist M.S. Swaminathan, because he contributed for total food production rate to increase, especially in India, by various methods and strategies and different techniques what he employed as gain of the food production rate. The food production rate has increased from 1960 to 2000. So, before we start about different strategies and methods, let us talk about who is our eminent and great scientist contributed to Indian food production rate. Who is he? M.S. Swaminathan, right. So, let us discuss about M.S. Swaminathan here. So, here he is expert in the branches of life sciences like genetics and plant breeding. Guys, don't ever think that this is a boring chapter, what are the strategies we are discussing, why it is needed to study about food production rate and all that. Don't feel that. Why? Because in this we are going to cover very interesting and most interesting concept called genetics. So, we are going to isolate the genes from the plant, and using these genes we are trying to produce different desirable characters what we want from today, what we want from the day-to-day practical applications, and they are called desirable plants. So, in that we are going to discuss even most interesting one called genetics. So MS Swaminathan is the one who is expert in genetics as well as plant breeding. Guys, again I am telling you, each and every NCERT textual line is very important. In the final NEET exam, hardly we get 1 or 2 questions on scientist. They may ask the basic question. So, for example, suddenly the question may appear that MS Swaminathan is expertise in the branches of life science. What are they? Genetics and plant breeding. So, you need to have a careful study on each and every line of NCERT textual lines, right? Now, and his major contribution is an establishment of a department. What did he establish? He established Department of Cytogenetics and Radiation Research. So, this is a department has been established in the place of IARI. What is IARI? Indian Agricultural Research Institute. Such a great international research organization which has tremendous new research discoveries has been made in that. Today if you go to IARI, definitely we find the Department of Cytogenetics and Radiation Research. So what exactly meant by cytogenetics here? Now if you take the plant cell here, you know that all of your cell contains centermost one called as nucleus. Guys, you know it very well what might be the great effort of a scientist. Simply a scientist keeping microscope, it's not possible to see the cell. You need to keep more effort to see one cell. That's very biggest and very toughest job. You know that very well. And after he finds the cell, you can imagine how much more it is difficult to see the nucleus. It's very difficult. Right, after great effort when they find the nucleus, why I am telling you great difficult, because all of you are now biology students, you know very well visualizing a cell of maybe a plant or animal under microscope is very difficult, because it's a tiny molecule, tiny microscopic molecule. Now within that DNA, what we talk today, even we traced out with the new techniques of genetic engineering, and today we talk about genetic characteristics. Means each gene is responsible for expression of one character. I repeat again. So, you know, first you have to see the cell, in that you have to trace for nucleus, within the nucleus you have to check for DNA, on DNA you have to see the gene which is responsible for a particular character. Right. Now, apart from this, now if you look at, so here in IARI, come back to the work done by MS Swaminathan. He is the one who developed semi-dwarf varieties of rice, wheat, especially the Mexican varieties. So what's meant by semi-dwarf? Not completely tall, not completely short. They are nothing but what? Semi-dwarf varieties. Right. Now, because of the semi-dwarf varieties of rice and wheat what are being developed across the world, and especially the development in case of India, there is a drastic rise in food production rate from 1960 to 2000. Right. So, here this part is highly appreciated. That is the reason why we call that MS Swaminathan as the father of Indian Green Revolution. Then what are the other important discoveries made by MS Swaminathan? So here we can see crop scheduling, crop quality, crop cafeteria, genetic improvement. So these are the concepts that are being developed by MS Swaminathan. What is crop scheduling? Generally guys, you know that generally rice is being cultivated in 2 seasons, you all know very well. One is we say Rabi and Kharif season, right? So for every crop there will be a particular favorable season. There is a particular favorable season. According to the season we have to go for plantation of crop or cultivation of the crop. That is why it is called crop scheduling. And another concept what he developed is called crop quality. Guys, wherever we go, we always check for best quality, right? So even in crops also, in cultivation of crops also, we always look for the better nutrition. So the rice what I am going to eat should have a better quality, means more amount of nutrients, more amount of carbohydrates, good quality of the proteins and all that, right? Then crop cafeteria. What's crop cafeteria here? So sometimes we know generally scientists will go for mixed cultivation. One time Leguminosae plants they will cultivate, followed by Solanaceae, because pulses and cereals generally, right, they add nitrogen to the soil. So other plants like rice and all, they get sufficient amount of nitrogen from pulses and cereals, right. So that's nothing but Prof. Cafeteria. Genetic improvement, guys, today everywhere what we are finding is genetically modified plants. Everywhere we are eating now genetically modified plants. Guys, you might be aware in the market we say BT brinjal or like BT rice and all that, right. What is that plant? What is that yield we are getting it? Whose genes are modified? Means we are the human beings who modified their genes, that is for the better quality and better quantity for various desirable characters, we are keep on modifying the genes, that is genetic improvement. Now apart from this, even he has developed the concept called lab to land. He developed the concept called as what? Lab to land. So what exactly meant by this? Guys, today if you look at the Indian research scenario, most of the scientists they work day and night, they do tremendous effort in developing so many discoveries, but finally they may not be get implemented practically into the environment. What might be the reason? There may be so many obstructions, funds and many things may obstruct the application of the wonderful discovery into environment. But here M.S. Swaminathan has developed the concept that whatever we develop a new variety of rice or wheat or jowar, bajra or maize with a lot of research work, that should be implemented into the environment, that is lab to land. A good variety which is developed maybe by crossing two plants and which is not harmful to the environment, it should be immediately implemented into the land, lab to land, right. Now apart from this, M.S. Swaminathan, because of his major contribution and because of so many wonderful discoveries, is being awarded with so many prestigious awards and honors. One of it I have written here, Padma Bhushan. I hope it's clearly visible. So he has been awarded with Padma Bhushan award, and also he has received so many awards and prestigious fellowships like research fellowships and all that. That's why we have to remember the great contribution of Swaminathan. Right. Now if you look at, so what I said now, from 1962 till 2000 there is a drastic increase in food production rate. There is an increase in food production rate. How it is possible? Now they have made a great extent of revolution. Means new methods, new strategies are being employed for development of more quantity production of the food to feed the entire world population. So what are the different revolutions if you look at? So they started thinking that how to go with the better quality of the what you call milk. It is referred as white revolution, and then drastically there was increase in total food production rate in cereals, pulses and all the food grains what we get from the plants, that's called green revolution. And other source of food is nothing but, all of you know very well, it's nothing but aquatic food. They developed different strategies to produce more amount of aquatic food, that is nothing but blue revolution. So what is white revolution? It purely speaks about how to preserve milk, how to get more quantity of the milk. Why? Milk is highly nutritious, more important food, right? So you know that very well. What are the things included under white revolution? You people already studied Louis Pasteur. He is the one who developed pasteurization, right? So high temperature, low temperature, preservation of the milk. Today milk can be preserved and it can be exported to the longer places so that they get better quality of nutrients. That's better improvement in food preservation is one of the method called white revolution. Green revolution, this is what we are going to continue our discussion, and blue revolution, I hope you all understood. It's nothing but increase in, blue means, blue indicates what? Water. So there is an increase in aquatic food annual food production rate, right. Now here let us talk about that what is the main method being employed here. So let us talk about plant breeding. Let us talk about plant breeding. So if you look at the plant breeding here, plant breeding is one of the ancient method traditionally people know how to cross the plants. It's one of the old method, one of the ancient method where from years together people know how to cross two plants, right? That is traditional method. We generally that our ancient people, the farmers, they will take two plants, they cross the plant and they get the better variety. That's nothing but what? Traditional method. Traditional breeding. Breeding is nothing but we will get a better variety, breed. Better variety, that is called plant breeding, right. So, this is nothing but a conventional method, or we say this is conventional plant breeding, where people will take two better quality variety of the plants, one plant with one desirable character, another plant with another desirable character. So, when they cross the two plants, they get the better variety that people know since from 9,000 to 11,000 years. We know how to create a new plant since from ancient period of 9,000 to 11,000 years, right. And today what generally we apply is nothing but classical plant breeding. Today what we apply is nothing but what? Classical plant breeding. Classical plant breeding is the one which is going to provide, now it is providing better varieties from 20 to 21st century. In the 21st century, 20th century, what is playing a vital role in giving better variety of plants means we need to talk about what is called classical plant breeding, right. Now what is this classical plant breeding? It includes the selection of the parents, means the selection of the plants. We take two plants, as I told you, good desirable characters, and finally we go for the process called as hybridization. Guys, don't worry, we are going to discuss everything in detail as we proceed with the chapter, because the chapter mainly we are going to speak about what is called plant breeding. We will come back to plant breeding, right. What is classical plant breeding? Includes selection of the plants followed by hybridization. Hybridization means mixing the two characters. We will discuss now how mixing of characters can be done, but here if you look at, there is an hybridization of pure lines. There is an hybridization of pure lines, pure traits, pure characters we say. Mother plant should have a good quality of pure characters, a pure trait we call, and another parent plant what is being chosen also need to have a good character, a good trait of character. So, generally now you may not understand what is hybridization and all that. When we proceed we will understand. Guys, try to remember classical plant breeding includes the two important steps. Again I repeat, selection and hybridization of pure lines, right. Now when you look at these aspects here, now very importantly, now what are the objectives? What are the objectives of plant breeding? Means why we need to go for plant breeding? Why we need to go for plant breeding? What are the important uses, advantages of plant breeding, right. The first and most important one objective is there should be increased crop yield. Why do I go for crossing of two plants? First my requirement is quantity. Why my requirement is quantity? Because population is increasing. World population is keep on increasing, but food production rate is very less. So, what is my first desirable character? I want more quantity of the food to be produced. So, my first character, what I want from the plant is increased crop yield. How it is possible? Maybe guys, earlier maybe you can take some 100 feet of the land. Imagine there are some 100 plants are there. When you take the field from the farmer, if you go for analysis, maybe from each plant, maybe the plant is giving the yield as 1 kg. Maybe you are taking the rice plant, let us take that. Imagine that one plant is giving 1 kg rice, just imagine. Okay, let us imagine 100 square feet of land here. Okay, in that 100 plants are there, each plant is giving 1 kg of rice. So, what are the total number of plants? 100 plants are there. So, how much yield you will get? 100 kg. How much yield you will get? 100 kg of yield we will get. right? So when you get 100 kg of yield, that was not sufficient for my area. So what I need to do here, now I want to modify the genes of the plant, or maybe I want to cross the two different variety of the plant. Now finally what is my most desirable expected character? I want to increase the yield. So finally from one plant maybe I am getting 5 kg. Instead of getting 1 kg from one plant, now I am getting 5 kg of the yield. So what is the total annual rate of production now? Instead of 100 kg, I will get 500 kg. So how it is possible? Maybe you may be thinking that practically is it possible? Yes, definitely it is possible. You may be thinking that how come one plant which is giving 1 kg of the yield, how it produces 100 kg of yield? Guys, you don't know, we are doing most wonderful discoveries in genetic engineering. For example, let me tell you one thing. Okay, I am the scientist. Imagine now I want to produce a good quality of the plant. So in genetic engineering, how it is possible to produce a good quality of the plant? For examples, let me tell you. For example, maybe I am the scientist. Now I want very good and highly qualitative plant to be produced. For example, let us take coconut plant. So I don't want coconut plant to be very taller because it's very difficult for me to hand pick the coconuts. So what is my first desirable quality I expect? I want coconut plant should be short. Means I want to take the dwarf producing gene. What do I do now? So if I look at the coconut plant here, from this plant I extract the cell. Cell contains what? Nucleus. Nucleus contains what? DNA. From the DNA, I look for the gene, I look for one gene, the gene which is responsible for causing dwarfness to the plant. Guys, do you think it's so easy to take the gene out and seeing that, okay, first gene is responsible for what character, second gene is responsible for what character? Do you think it's so easy? You think you can pick the gene with your hand? No, it's very, very, very difficult and the most toughest job. Why? As I told you, a scientist, when he holds the microscope, first of all, it's very, very difficult to see the cell. In that cell, again he has to go for identifying the nucleus. In that nucleus, he has to search for DNA, and DNA contains millions of genes, not 10 or 100. One DNA, every DNA is unique to the organism. No DNA matches with any other organism. Suppose if you take, okay, some extent 10% to 20% a daughter DNA or a son DNA matches with the parents. That is how you can find out father and mother in DNA analysis. But complete DNA of any organism will not match with any other DNA in the rest of the world. Your DNA is unique. Your DNA is unique. It will not match with any other organism in the rest part of the world. So here if you take the DNA, millions of genes are there. How do I come to know that which gene is responsible for dwarfness? Do you think it's a so easy job? Taking one gene, what character it express, taking second gene, what character it express, third gene, what character it may express. It takes lot of study, lot many scientists' hands are needed. Finally, they may come to know, okay, let us imagine for example, there may be 208th gene may be responsible for dwarfness. So what do I need to do now? I will take this particular gene into test tube. What is the gene? Let us take gene number 1. What is the gene number 1 which gives dwarfness to the plant? I want dwarf coconut plant. Let us take that for example. What do I want? What is my desirable character? I want to produce dwarf coconut. I don't want coconut to be taller. Right. Next, do you think with one gene modification I can produce the plant? As a scientist, what do? I am so selfish. Anyway, I am going for gene modification. So my desires will increase. What is my second quality? At a time I want more number of coconuts. Cultivating one coconut plant, maybe let us imagine that it should give 100 coconuts. Okay, one coconut plant. Next quality is what? Next desirable character what I want? I want quantity. I want at a time one coconut plant should produce more number of coconuts. How it is possible? What scientist has to do? He has to go for different varieties of coconuts across the India. Maybe he will go to Maharashtra. Some scientist group will go to Maharashtra. They will see all coconut plants. Maybe they may find one coconut plant which is a better variety, which is giving more number of coconuts. Or some people, some groups of research people will go to maybe Chennai or maybe Bombay or Calcutta or North Indian places. They try to take the better and the best quality of coconut plant. Just imagine that maybe in Bombay they identified one particular coconut plant which is giving more number of coconuts. So that is identified as second plant. From that coconut plant, what do I do now? I will collect the gene, that is my second gene. This gene is responsible for what? Quantity. I want at a time more number of coconuts to be produced. Do you think sufficient? No. As a human being I am so selfish. I want more characters all to be produced in one plant. What do I think now? Third gene what I want is quality. Third gene what I want, it should be quality. What is the quality I expect? Okay, all my coconuts should be very sweeter and very tasty. All my coconuts should be very sweet water and it should be very tasty. How it is possible? Yes, it is possible. If you take, again research we have to do across the world, across India, we go for different coconut plants. We choose one coconut plant whose coconut water is very sweeter. So I want that coconut plant gene. So what I am collecting now? The third gene from another coconut plant whose coconut water is very sweeter. So how it's possible? Again I take out the DNA, I will see, search for the genes, which gene is responsible for that. I will search for the third gene which is responsible for giving sweeter coconut water. That is nothing but quality. First thing I want, dwarfness. Second character I want, more quantity. My one coconut plant should give 100 coconuts. And third desirable character what I want from coconut plant, what coconut plant what I am going to create in my lab, it should be very tasty, it should be sweeter, it should be highly nutritional. Nutritional quality should be more, it should have all the amino acids, proteins, vitamins, minerals, all should be there in my coconut. Sufficient? No. After taking 3 genes, again I will become more selfish. What do I think? Array, why quantity I increased, quality I increased, dwarfness has come. So what I will say that next to my desirable quantity, I want bigger size of the coconut. The next quality what I look for, bigger size of the coconuts. If what happens after modifying all this, then as a scientist I may get a thought, Arey Baba, I introduced good qualities here. Finally if the coconut is produced with very small, what is the use? 100 coconuts or 10 coconuts is equivalent to 1 coconut or 2 coconuts is equivalent to 1 coconut. What is the need? I don't want. So definitely I want to introduce another gene which gives a bigger size of the coconut. So after that what I will do, I will put all the genes what I collected from different plants like gene number 1, 2, 3, 4. I will keep it in the test tube. I will add the nutrients. I will make the solution. Now I will make the cells to form here, cells undergo cell division and slowly, guys, whatever I am explaining on the board here theoretically, guys, it is not so easy job for the scientist in the lab. It is very difficult and the most crucial hard work, right? It takes years together, decades together to develop a particular plant. After mixing all the genes, what do I get? I get a particular plant. This plant has all these qualities. Now what do you call that plant? This plant is called as genetically modified plant. Finally what did I produce? Genetically modified plant. Why do I call genetically modified plant? Because this is a plant who has all desirable characters. All desirable characters. Okay, right. So as a scientist I am successful. As a scientist, I am successful. So what I say now, this plant is now it is referred as genetically modified plant with all desirable characters because నాకు కావాల్సిన అన్ని characters ఈ plant లో ఉన్నాయి. A coconut plant, small plant will grow, it will become bigger. What is the first quality which it will meet? First of all, it will be drawer, so that easy for me to pick the coconuts. Second thing, I'll get more quantity of the coconuts, very tasty, very sweeter water and very sweet water, very nutritional water, and I'll definitely get bigger size of. No, it's nothing but tissue culture. Guys, taking one cell from human. How wonderful science today. What scientists are doing? Guys, they will take one cell from your body. You are human. From you, they will take one cell from your body. It's called stem cell. Using that one cell, they will produce the whole human, a total human who is exactly similar to you. Taking one cell from your body, I can produce a human who is exactly similar to you. Right, it's most wonderful thing. Yes, it's possible in genetic engineering. So for plants, any one of the cell, from the cell gene is collected and I can produce a total plant, and that's possible with the technique called as tissue culture. Guys, end of the chapter we are going to discuss what is called tissue culture. Today guys, practical applications, if you look at, most practical applications are there. I think life science students, you might have aware of this. Nowadays even they are planning how the kid should produce. You know, when mother is pregnant and in the embryo itself we are doing gene modifications. What gene modifications you are looking for? Many gene modifications. Okay, I want my the kid should be very handsome, the kid should be so intelligent, and the kid should be very taller, like that. What not? We want good characters. Those characters we are inoculating at the time of embryo formation in the human fetus. How wonderful this thing. ఎంత అద్భుతమైన విషయం నాన్న ఇవాళ. Today we can say that embryo, ఆ ఫీటస్ ఫామ్ అవ్వకముందే ఎంబ్రియోలో మన కిడ్కి కావాల్సిన ఆస్ప్రింగ్, వాట్ ఆర్ ద క్యారెక్టర్స్, డిజైరబుల్ క్యారెక్టర్ వాట్ వీ వాంట్. Yes, definitely we can do modifications to the genes to get a desirable characters. So today we can alter the genes of the human fetus. Okay, fetus babyగా కన్వర్ట్ అవ్వకముందే ఫీటస్లో ఉన్న జీన్స్ని మోడిఫై చేసి మనకు కావాల్సినట్టుగా ఆస్ప్రింగ్ని మనం మోడిఫై చేసుకునేంత వండర్ఫుల్ టెక్నాలజీస్ టుడే ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసిబుల్ ఓన్లీ విత్ జెనెటిక్ engineering. So what generally parents will think, what father and mother, if they get a chance to design their own son or daughter, what the qualities, desirable characters they look for? They want their son to be very handsome, they want their daughter to be very beautiful, they want their son to be very intelligent, they want their son to be more more healthy. So these are the characters. They'll change, they'll modify the gene and before converting the embryo into fetus, so finally we can get the offspring or a baby with all desirable characters. So it's a wonderful thing, genetics called as genetic engineering. That's what the new technique what I'm going to write now, it's nothing but genetic engineering. So we are engineering the gene, we are controlling the expression of gene character. It's a wonderful science called genetic engineering, right? And here apart from this, what is that, how it is possible means, most important one is recombinant DNA technology. What is that? Next very important one in genetic engineering is nothing but recombinant DNA technologies. Guys, don't worry, we are going to discuss all these things in our second year syllabus. And in this chapter they have given introduction about these things, and definitely we have to study and remember. We should know each and every step. Maybe you are thinking that arey ma'am is explaining just these things and how they are possible and all that. Don't worry, these things we have to discuss in detail. Such a wonderful examples we are going to discuss in genetics. Don't worry, we have to discuss later genetic engineering, we have to study you have to concentrate on recombinant DNA technology. So these are the new techniques we have to discuss and we have to remember, we have to study, because they play a wonderful role in life sciences. What not, designing a kid, designing the mother fetus, such a wonderful discovery it is. Yes or no? Designing a plant with my desirable characters, it's a wonderful discovery. Designing my own kid as a human being, wonderful discovery. Like that, stem cell cloning, genetic engineering, recombinant DNA. Don't worry, everything we are going to discuss in our syllabus second year. Here, the new techniques you have to remember the list of 3. Right? Yeah. Now, let's continue further. So, what's my first objective in plant? is increased crop yield. What's my first objective? I want to increase the quantity. And the second most thing is, I already have written what is the second gene I look for. Second gene is for nutritional quality. Second gene is for what? A nutritional quality. So wonderful examples we can discuss as a concept which we go little forward. We can discuss so many very good examples we can discuss. Nutritional quality means guys, tomorrow when we go to the market, today we find supermarkets. In future we find Biogene market. What is a Biogene market? Okay, everyone will, today we have Aadhaar card. Tomorrow we will be having health card. What is a health card? We will get a deficiency of vitamin A. So if I take my health card, I can see there is a deficiency of vitamin A. So if you go to the market, you will find there are so many varieties of the food. There will be specific food which should be consumed, those who have deficiency of vitamin A, like that. So nutritional food, I want vitamin C, I want vitamin B6, I want riboflavin. Whoever has deficiency of that particular amino acid or protein, they can consume that particular food. Wonderful examples are there in our genetics. Definitely we will discuss, guys. So what is my second most important quality as a scientist, as a human? What I want is a good, highly nutritional, qualitative food. So that is my second objective. That is nothing but what? Increase in nutritional quality. And the third one is, the plant should show a resistance to pathogens. My plant should show resistance to pathogens. That means which pathogens? Bacteria, virus, fungi and all that. Why do I want this character? Because just look at the real scenario. Guys, you know, farmer with lot of effort, he will cultivate the yield and he will grow the plant with lot of great effort. The farmer will pour water for the field. By the time yield is about to come, there are so many organisms which destroy the yield. Means pre-harvest losses. Before harvesting, there is a loss of food due to infections caused by bacteria, virus, fungi. So with great effort, I am the farmer, I cultivated the plant's grown up now, yield is ready to take. So when rice is ready, when fruits are ready, when vegetables are ready, when I am about to harvest them, imagine all vegetables are got affected with bacteria. So when I take bacteria affected brinjals, bacteria affected vegetables, if I put it into the market, do you think anyone will buy? Definitely they will not buy. Such a great loss to farmers. Farmers keeping so much of effort, they cultivate the plants, but there will be a loss of food due to because of pathogens, bacteria, virus and fungi. So as a scientist, what is my next desirable character? I want to produce the plant. My plant should be very, very strong. No pathogen can make a hole or make a damage to my plant. Means the plant has ability to kill bacteria, virus. How it is possible? We will discuss in the coming classes. It's a very important objective. The plant itself has resistance to pathogens. What is pathogen? Guys, I think you already know. What is the definition for pathogen? Any microorganism, any organism, when it is harmful to the living organism, when it is harmful to the plant, here we are talking about plant, when it is harmful to the plant, it's called pathogen. Right? What is pathogen? When it is causing infection, when it is causing harm to the organism, it's called pathogen. So I want my plant should be very strong. It should not get affected by bacteria, virus and fungi. And also my plant should show resistance to even insect pest. Insect pest. My dear guys, you might be thinking pathogens resistance is enough. No, why do we talk about insect pest? Or why do we write in two different headings, pathogens and insect pests? These are also cause damage. So my plant should be resistant to this. Then why written in two separate subheadings? Why to be written as two different points? If you look at carefully, guys, these are invisible microorganisms. Pathogens are, most of the pathogens are invisible microorganism. We cannot find them so early in stages. మొత్తం ఫుడ్ అంతా డ్యామేజ్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మనకు కనిపిస్తుంది ఓకే ఫుడ్ గోట్ డ్యామేజ్డ్ అని. డ్యూరింగ్ డ్యామేజ్, ఇనిషియల్ స్టేజ్ ఆఫ్ డ్యామేజ్, we cannot identify, we cannot notify. Why? They are invisible microorganisms. That's why we call them as pathogens. So we don't know because we can't see microorganism on a fruit, we can't see microorganism on a vegetable, but we can see insect and pest. So why to be written as 2 points? These are invisible microorganisms and these are visible organisms. You can see any insect is trying to bore a hole or anything is there, visibly you can find out, right? So my plant should be stronger, showing resistance to pathogens as well as insect pest. And the most important character, now all these things if I achieve enough? No. My plant, what is my next thought? What the scientist will get next thought? I want my plant should be produced or cultivated any part of India. Any part of India means what? In some places high temperature, in some places low temperature, in some places more moisture content, in some places no water at all, drought conditions. So what is the next one? My plant should show there should be an increase in tolerance. There should be an increase in tolerance to environmental stresses. Guys, I hope it is clearly visible. Increase in tolerance to environmental stresses. What are environmental stresses? Maybe as a farmer, I don't know the texture of the soil. Unknowingly I am cultivating, but maybe sometimes the soil has more concentration of the salt. The soil may have more concentration of the salt. So my plant should be strong to withstand, should be grown even in high salt concentration. It should overcome the stress of salinity. And next my desire is my plant should grow in, even the temperature is very high, the plant should tolerate high temperature. My plant should tolerate even there is an existence of drought condition. If there is no water or very less adequate water is there, but still my plant should grow and should give the more quantity of the food and better quality of the nutrition. So these are the main objectives. Guys, I repeat, very important. Why we are speaking the entire story? Mainly very important objectives. Why we have to go for plant breeding? What is plant breeding? We will start now. But before plant breeding, what are the objectives? Means why do we have to go for plant breeding? First point is, for increased crop yield, I want more quantity of the food. Instead of getting 1 kg rice from one plant, I want 5 kg rice from each plant. So that instead of getting 100 kg, I will get 500 kg from the same plants, from the same place. Right, that is I want more quantity, increase in crop yield. What is my next important desirable character? What is my next character I want in plant? I want what the quantity I am producing. What is the use, guys, if I produce more quantity of the rice but taste is very less? Poor nutrients are there. What is the use of eating such kind of rice? So what is my next character? I want the best nutritional quality. The proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals should be in a good quantity, good quality. Next is my plant should show resistance to pathogens. That means it should not give a chance to bacteria, virus, fungi. Means no microorganism, no invisible microorganism can touch my plant. My plant should be very strong plant. Then farmer will be most happiest person, no? If you develop such kind of varieties, because after getting yield, he will very happily he will take the yield, he will go to the market, he will sell it and he will get benefit out of it, right? So my plant should show resistance to pathogens and my plant should show resistance to insect pest. These are visible, these are invisible, and tolerance to environmental stress. My plant should grow in any part of India. In some places even there is no groundwater, no rainfall, no water also my plant should grow. If the temperature is very high also, my plant should not die. There also it should grow very strongly and even it should tolerate high salt concentration. So these are nothing but major objectives of plant breeding.